Okay, so while I'm still hyped on caffeine, and this week is Halloween, I actually had a different video planned for this week, but then I realized Halloween's this week. So let's do something more in spirit with the holiday. And I wanted to tell you guys a bit about a ghost story, I guess. Some of you know this story already, but I'll retell it anyway for the sake of this record. Back in my Nightlight Interactive days, helping out David Logan, Leaf Doll, my entire crew of independent game developers, when we were looking to release Whispering Willows, my buddy and I, Matt Cahigal, we decided to do a road trip to bring a lot of the equipment that we needed for the Rooster Teeth convention. And so instead of flying to Texas, where the Rooster Teeth convention takes place, we decided to take the road trip, which meant we went from Los Angeles in California through Arizona, New Mexico, and ultimately to Austin, Texas. Now, when we stopped over in Arizona, we stayed over at his cousin's place. We went to the hotel where Dillinger stayed at. And what's fascinating is that in this dim lit lobby, there is a massive Ouija board. Now, some of you that are very familiar with supernatural occurrences and the entire metaphysics stuff, you know that Ouija boards are a tool, but you shouldn't mess with them unless you're really prepared for that. And so my buddy Matt, who was heartbroken at the time, wanted to know if I could do something with a Ouija board. I said, yeah, I guess. I mean, I was very skeptical because I didn't want to trigger something, whether a spiritual or apparition attachment to anyone. And so after some thought, I was like, yeah, let's just give it a shot. Now, granted, this is horrible because I was also, after a few drinks, thinking that this is something I can handle. After a few drinks, your judgment just goes out the window. So I did it. We went around this coffee table Ouija board in the lobby by the bar, and we didn't have a planchette, which is a planchette is the kind of cursor that you use on Ouija boards. We didn't have one. Later, we found out that we could ask for it and they'll bring it to us. But instead, with what we had available, we used the plastic cover for a soda drink. And so we used this plastic cover, this circular thing, as our planchette. Now, he had inquiries about whether or not this particular individual that he had fallen in and out of love with is his soulmate or something, right? And so it started to draw out the name. Now, what was curious about this is that, wow, this was actually working. Now, I knew this stuff worked, and I do have a type of energy that draws certain entities out or empowers people who have the ability to draw on entities. But I realized that if it actually spelled out this individual's name, that he would find validation. And I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't let him feel validated to continue pursuing this person because I know, deep inside that this is not something that's going to really lead to something positive for him in the long term. So I broke the entire ritual. I stopped it from continuing. Now, when you break a ritual like that, the problem is that, especially if it's not a secured divination circle thing, you can cause major side effects. One is what I'm about to explain right now. What ended up happening next is that over the next day or two, he started manifesting scratches on his back. I mean, I thought maybe he was just scratching himself and it got really deep, but it was weird because usually when you scratch yourself enough, you'll start to see, you've scratched yourself. But what happened to him is that he started manifesting scars on his back, the type that you see in ghost hunters and stuff, when a poltergeist or demon is involved, where it starts to look like a trail, like a dotted trail of blood that starts to pop up, or the skin gets inflamed. And stereotypically, you would say that, when it comes in pairs of three or something, it's the demon or the poltergeist's way of mocking the Trinity. Now, I'm not fully knowledgeable or aware of how poltergeists and demons have their relationships with humans. Some may be mocking, some, for whatever case, have their own motivations. But for this one, I just know for a fact that these scars were just manifesting, some before my eyes, some were like it was on his back and someone behind his leg, and he told me, he's like, "Oh my gosh, what are these things?" And I told him, "Oh, this is interesting. We got to do something about this." So we carried on to helping out the team do their, showcasing of Whispering Willows, and I just put the entire scarring to the side of my head, and I tried to do like cleansing rituals that I could, in my own time between things. He even went to, um, like, he just had a run of bad luck that weekend. That's to put it shortly. But long story short, I had to do a lot of remote cleansing because at the same time, he was actually applying for a job in San Francisco. And so I had to do a lot of remote candle work, stuff like that. I mean, some of you who are very skeptical may not buy into this stuff, but you're better off disbelieving this stuff than actually engaging in the practice and finding validation of it actually working, and that there are other entities out there. Because as soon as you start believing, you open yourself up to seeing, and you are opening up a can of worms. So you really have to follow through and prepare yourself and defend yourself from apparitions that may attack you or attach to you. But, you know, I just wanted to share that with you because, the apparition, the entity that was attacking my buddy Matt did go away. He's great now. He's successful up in San Francisco, but ultimately be very mindful and careful of the things that you taunt or test, because you may run into unforeseen consequences. So for all of us, happy holidays, happy Halloween for those of you who celebrate it. Happy Dia de los Muertos, happy All Saints Day, and I'll catch you guys later.